I bought the Blazar Cato anamorphic lenses and I returned them a week later. Here's why I chose the Blazar Mantis anamorphics instead. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. And today we're talking about a deep dive into my review of the Blazar Mantis 1.3 anamorphic kit. I use these lenses on a fashion film, and I want to walk you through not just the creative results that I got, but also the technical aspects of these lenses and why I chose them over one of my favorite types of anamorphics, which are 2x anamorphics. So let's start with the basics. The Blazar Mantis lenses are a set of 3 full-frame lenses with a 1.3x squeeze ratio. The kit that I have includes the 35mm, the 50mm, and the 75mm. I'm actually shooting on the 35mm right now. All 3 lenses have a consistent build quality, solid metal housing, geared focus and iris rings, and a smooth focus throw that's enough to feel cinematic, but still practical for like handheld work. Now, when it came to photography and videography, I shot the photos and the video on the same camera. I shot this on the Canon R5C using a PL to RF adapter. I paired that with a DJI RS2 gimbal for smooth and mobile shooting. Let's talk about the character of the 1.3 squeeze. It's more subtle than a 2x anamorphic. You get enough horizontal stretch that gives the image a little bit of interest without, warping the frame too much or distracting from the subject. It gives it kind of like a gentle horizontal stretch, not so much distortion. It's still cinematic, but it's a little bit less aggressive than other, squeeze ratios and other lenses. I actually picked up the Cato 2x anamorphic and I loved the way that looked. I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. Tons of character, full frame, heavy flares, but they just weren't right for the needs. They're like a lens that I could see myself renting in the future, but it wasn't a all around, I could shoot every project with these, this anamorphic, or I could shoot a lot more projects with this anamorphic. I think the Catos are a little bit too extreme. I also didn't like the focus distance on the Catos, where with the 2x, you couldn't really get that close. But with the Mantis, you have a way closer focus distance on all the lenses, so you could get closer on your subjects. And I really like that compared to the Catos or even the Remus, which the focus distance on them are not the closest on those lenses either. One thing that really stands out about the Mantis kit is you're getting a true oval aperture design, which gives you a classic oval bokeh. You typically would get this with a 2x anamorphic, but you're getting that without crazy barrel distortion and edge smearing, which I like, but I think it's a little bit more subtle in here. And you're getting the flavor of a 2x oval bokeh with a 1.3 squeeze with this lens. Now, when I was shooting with the Mantis, they were a joy to shoot with, especially the 50mm. Quickly, it became my favorite lens, which I always love a good 50mm. I like the way that it had like a painterly frame, you know, when I was shooting during golden hour. The 35mm gave me a wide enough shot for a lot of the stuff that I was doing. It had good sharpness. And if I really wanted to get more controlled and more, high, close-ups, the 75 was perfect for a more compressed portrait and natural look for the subject. Now, a few technical things you need to know when you're working with a 1.3 Mantis lens is this is really designed for a 16:9 sensor. When you de-squeeze this in post, you get a beautiful like 2 to 3.5 widescreen look. The lenses also have a clickless aperture, so be aware of that. There's minimal focus breathing and a pretty consistent color rendering across all the lenses. I didn't see, too much when it came to that. Now the flaring is controlled, and you're either gonna like it or love it. It's pretty controlled on most of the lenses. I will say that when you're shooting with these lenses, you definitely need a matte box on the lenses. I actually didn't have a matte box on it. You're gonna get a lot of light leak. They're more controlled when it comes to the flaring compared to other anamorphics that are like, budget anamorphics. But I would say you still wanna be aware that this is going to flare. And if you don't want that flare, I like it. I'm shooting fashion, I loved it. But if you don't want it to flare that much, then you're gonna have to use a matte box and be aware of that. Another thing to consider when you're using these lenses is be aware of the fact that the PL, adapter, the PL mount sticks out a good amount. So just be aware if you're gonna use this with like a ND, a L mount to, PL mount adapter with ND filters in it, just be aware that these might actually hit the filter. I bought the Mikey ND filter. It was L to PL, and it actually was gonna hit the ND filter. So just be aware of that. I had to return that. I think the Mofage Poco or whatever that adapter is, I think it clears these lenses, but just be aware if you're going to shoot with these lenses and use an ND filter type adapter, the PL mount actually sticks out pretty deep, so it might hit it. One of the cool things about shooting with these lenses, I like how it gave the image such a good vintage vibe. I was shooting this model, her name was Margot, and we were shooting different looks in my backyard, and I was loving how, it gave, some of the looks kind of felt vintage already, so it gave everything more of a heightened, vintage look, cinematic, filmic look, whatever you want to call it. And I really like that. But that's all I have to say about the Blazar Mantis lenses. I love these lenses. I can't wait to shoot more projects with them. Let me know if you have any more questions about, photography or videography in the comments below. And let me know if you're gonna pick up the Blazar Mantis lenses, and I'll see you next time. Peace.